Have you been on a trip before? Did you go to any places in Malaysia? Or did you go to another country? How was your trip? Hi, I'm Mr. Ma, and thank you for watching this video. Today, I'll share some tips with you on how to write an email about a trip. At the end of this lesson, you'll be able to 1. Write an email about a trip using the simple past tense. 2. Use adjectives to write about your feelings. And 3. Use the conjunctions and but to join two ideas. Let's look at some writing tips on writing an email about a trip. Number 1. When we write about a trip, we use the simple past tense. When we are talking about a trip, we are describing an experience in the past. Maybe a trip that you went last weekend, last month, or during the last holidays. So, we need to write using the simple past tense. The simple past tense is used to show an action which was done and completed in the past. For example, the past tense of go is went, and the past tense of visit is visited. Now, do you want to try? What's the past tense of see? That's right, it's saw. What about buy? Correct, it's bought. B-O-U-G-H-T, bought. So, let's say your parents bring you to your grandparents' house every Saturday. It is something that happens every week. You went last Saturday, you're going this Saturday, and you will be going next Saturday. So, you would say, I visit my grandparents every Saturday. We use the verb visit, and that's the simple present tense. But when you go on a trip, it is probably not something that you do every week. The trip started in the past and finished in the past. Let's say you went to Australia last holidays. You can't be saying, I visit Australia last holidays, because you do not go there every week. It was a trip in the past, so you have to say, I visited Australia last holidays. So when we write an email to tell someone about a trip in the past, remember to use the simple past tense. Writing tip 2. We use adjectives to describe our feelings. Adjectives are words that describe people, things, or places. We use adjectives to tell our readers how we feel. For example, when you visit the zoo, you see many types of animals that you like. How would you feel? Happy? Excited? So, these are adjectives that you would use to write about your feelings. You can say, I was happy and excited to see many animals in the zoo. Let's say you went to the national park and visited a cave. It was dark and spooky inside, and suddenly a few bats flew over your head. You were afraid. You might say, we went to a cave and it was scary. Or, I was scared when I went into the cave. Both scary and scared are adjectives. Using adjectives in your email will make it more interesting, so remember to use them. Writing tip 3. We use conjunctions to join ideas together. To talk about similar ideas in our email, we use the conjunction and. For example, the activities in the science center were fun and exciting. Another example is, we went to Genting Highlands. It was cool and windy there. To talk about different ideas, we use the conjunction but. For example, you wanted to visit the art gallery. You arrived there, but it was not open. So you can say, I went to the art gallery, but it was closed. Or when you visited the national park, you went hiking. You had a lot of fun. You were tired after the hike. So you can say, I went hiking at the national park. It was fun, but I was very tired. Writing tip 4. Remember to start your email with a greeting and end with a sign off. When we write an email, we always start with a greeting before we talk about our topic and ideas. For example, in the email about a trip, we can say, Dear Waken, how are you? I went on a trip to Australia last month. Or, Hi Juwita, how's everyone at home? I'm writing to tell you about my trip to Australia. At the end of our email, we can include a simple sign off. For example, bye for now, your friend Shiva. Or, hope to hear from you soon. Regards, Eason. Now, let's look at this example. It is taken from our Unit 3 of your Year 4 Get Smart Plus 4 Students book. We'll read the email together. As we read, can you see if it has all the writing tips that I've mentioned before? To John Parker. Subject, my trip. Hello John, how are you? Last month, my family and I went on a trip to Egypt. It was very hot and sunny there. We rode camels to the pyramids of Giza. They were very big. I took a lot of photos. We saw mummies at the museum. They were scary, but they were interesting too. I liked the mummy's treasure the most. Egypt was fun. Kevin. So, in this email, Kevin tells John what he did in Egypt during the previous month. Did he use the simple past tense when he was writing the email? Can you identify some verbs in the past form? Let's check. After the greeting in the email, Kevin started to write about his trip to Egypt last month, so he used the simple past tense. The words in the past tense are went, was, rode, were, took, saw, and liked. Did you get them right? Next, the writer used adjectives to describe feelings. Can you identify them? He used hot and sunny to describe the weather in Egypt. He used the adjective big to describe the pyramids. He thought the mummies were scary but interesting. And he felt that the trip was fun. Did the writer use conjunctions to join ideas? He did. The examples are: It was very hot and sunny there. They were scary, but they were interesting too. Finally, did the writer start his email with a greeting and end with a sign-off? He did. He started with, Hello John, how are you? And signed off with his name, Kevin, at the end. Alright, now that we have looked at the writing tips and a sample email, are you ready to write an email about a trip? Let's look at this question. You went on a trip to Langkawi last month. Write an email to tell your cousin about the trip. So, let us brainstorm some ideas on what to write in our email. When we write an email about a trip, we have to say where we went, what we did, and how we felt. So the place was given in the question, that is, Langkawi. So now, let's think of what activities we can do there and how we could have felt. It is alright if you have not been to Langkawi. Just imagine. In Langkawi, we can visit places such as the underwater world. We can also ride in a cable car and walk on the Langkawi Sky Bridge. Besides, we can have a picnic on the beach. Now, let's think of some adjectives that we can use to write our email. How do you think the weather is like in Langkawi? Perhaps we can use adjectives like hot and sunny to describe the weather. What about the underwater world? It should be interesting, shouldn't it? You can see different types of sea creatures there. But how do you feel when you see the sharks? You might be scared, or they can be scary. When you ride in a cable car or walk on the sky bridge, how do you think you would feel? Do you think it would be exciting? How do you think about the view? How do you think the view is from the top of the mountain? You can use adjectives like beautiful or amazing. What are the words that you can use to describe the beach? Perhaps you can use words like sandy or beautiful. Finally, what do you think of the whole trip? Was it fun? Now, let's write this email together. My cousin's name is Ray. What do you think should be the subject of our email? The subject tells us what the email is going to be about, and we should keep it short. Since this email is about a trip, why don't we just write a trip as the subject? Then we should start with a greeting. Dear Ray, how are you? Now, when did you go to Langkawi? With who? Last month, I went to Langkawi with my family. How was the weather? Remember, we can use adjectives here. It was hot and sunny there. Where did you go? How was it? We went to the underwater world. It was interesting, but the sharks were scary. We rode in a cable car and walked on the sky bridge. It was exciting and the view was amazing. We also had a picnic on the sandy beach. How was the trip? Langkawi was fun. Then remember to sign off. Since you're writing to your cousin, you can sign off with bye for now, your cousin Alan. Now, let's read the email again and check if we have used past tense, adjectives and conjunctions. To ray@gmail.com. Subject, a trip. Dear Ray, how are you? Last month, I went to Langkawi with my family. It was hot and sunny there. We went to the underwater world. It was interesting, but the sharks were scary. We rode in a cable car and walked on the sky bridge. It was exciting and the view was amazing. We also had a picnic on the sandy beach. Langkawi was fun. Bye for now, your cousin Alan. See, writing an email about a trip is not so difficult after all, right? Before we end the lesson, let's recap what we have learned today. Firstly, we need to use the simple past tense to write an email about a trip. Secondly, we can use adjectives to write about our feelings. Thirdly, we can use the conjunctions and but to join two ideas. And finally, don't forget to start your email with a greeting and end it with a sign off. My dear pupils, nowadays we tend to write messages and emails more than we write informal letters. Hence, it is important for you to learn how to write an email. Now that you have learned some writing tips, why don't you write an email to your friend or any of your family members about a trip? Remember, for you to improve your writing, you have to start writing. Don't worry about making mistakes, as practice makes perfect. We have come to the end of our lesson today. I hope you have learned something. Thank you again for watching. Stay at home, stay safe, and learn from home. Till then, goodbye.